Hello everybody and welcome to Game of the Day with Grandmaster Max Dlugy. Following today the second round of the Tata Steel tournament, a tournament in which I played myself back in 1990 and had the chance to win. Going the last two rounds I was actually leading, but so this is always interesting to see how over 25 years, quarter of a century, the tournament has evolved, still attracts some of the best players in the world. And is always interesting because you always have a different type of different level of players. You don't just have the number 1 through 10 players as we see in the Grand Chess Tour tournaments, but also you see some of the up-and-coming players such as Wely or the best woman in the world, Hui Fan, for example. And it's always interesting to watch them play against the top players. It's always a chance to shine. And so here we have today a game. Well, let's start with a game between Grandmaster Karjakin, who of course has been in the top 5 in the world for many years and has recently dropped down a little bit, but still is within the reach of the elite, and a noted veteran of the chess world, Luc van Wely, who was shining in the 90s, and of course now he's a solid grandmaster, but is over 100 points lower rated than his opponent today. So it's interesting that actually in this game it was Van Wely who managed to surprise his quite esteemed opponent. Let's take a look. This is of course a very complicated line in the Dragon, topical line I would have to say, and all these moves have been played many times before. And here we reach an interesting position. Black is trying to play on the queen side, White is trying to set up the attack on the king side, and White has started this interesting move, bishop g5, with the idea of just taking on f6 and going for knight d5. This type of ending could be quite dangerous if White gets it. So Black plays this nice looking move, king f8, simply protecting that e7 pawn. And now White plays f4, of course logical to continue attack. Now, in this position, which has been played many times, Black has always replied knight c4. And many games went this way. Position is quite complicated, but Black has managed to show that it's a fight. Yet, I'm sure Karjakin prepared something against that, and that was clearly something that he must have prepared against, since Luc van Wely often plays the dragon. But suddenly, Black surprises with the move knight g4. The knight seems to be going somewhere where he shouldn't be going. It looks like really Black should be playing the queen side and White should be playing the king side. But of course the knight on g4 nicely blockades all kinds of attacking options that White has. So it actually makes some sense to place the knight there. White plays rook e1, trying to get e5 in, and Black stops it with rook c5. But, of course, that invites enormous complications. And I'm sure here Sergei, playing White, thought for a long time about the most obvious way of continuing the attack, which is, of course, bishop takes f7. And he finally did not play that move. After bishop takes f7, actually just taking will be quite dangerous on account of knight b3, and, for example, after queen c7, knight takes c5, queen takes c5, and now opening up the game with e5. And now Black is under serious strain, because after the knight moves, we can have knight e4, for example, knight g8, knight e4, and queen b8, of course, would stop pawn takes pawn, but after b3, preparing pawn takes pawn. It's not clear if Black can really hold this position. For example, bishop f5, pawn takes pawn, and who knows, something like queen c6, even the exchange of queens here seems to favor White a little bit, although of course the position is quite enormously complicated. So this was one possibility, but I think even in this position Black could play rook takes knight, and maybe that's why Sergei didn't actually go